Okay, so now we're moving to Group 18. This was an interesting race, right? Because I've seen these ladies. It's two ladies in this race. It's Patty Englander Henning and Kirsten Weisberg Padowitz in this race, right? And there's a big age difference, right? One of the ladies on this Patty, I shouldn't call her Patty, well, Judge Patty has been on the bench for about 40 years. And I believe Kirsten is about 40, right? So it's a very interesting dynamic. And when you see them talking, it's just real interesting. So what are we gonna do? We gonna keep the lady that's been there for like 40 years, or is it time for someone else to come in? And the interesting about this race is that it's a very specialized court, right? This is the one that does like real complex litigation. This particular group, they deal with like real complex litigation, and it's supposed to be a specialized court. Go ahead.
Let's say this up, because just because you get elected to that group does not mean that you will sit in that particular
on that
seat.
court. Okay.
So you could be transferred, like for instance, whoever wins this race could be transferred over to the criminal division. They could be transferred over to, I don't know, foreclosures. So it doesn't mean that because you win this race that that's going to be what you preside over.
So that's interesting because one of the things, so I'm going to talk about because I've seen a lot of the panels, right? And one of the things is this judge, she doesn't do a lot of trials. And she said one of the main reasons, we're talking about the incumbent in this race, she doesn't do a lot of trials because she's in a very specialized unit. And that's why I had the misunderstanding that if you win, this is where you're gonna stay. And apparently she's been there for a very long time and she does those particular cases. So it's good to know, and that's why we do these things so we can all learn that, if, for instance, if Kirsten wins, she might be moved around. But this particular judge has been in that particular unit and she's been there for a number of years. I don't know if it's preference or whatever it is.
I think one of the knocks on this particular, on the incumbent from the legal bar in Broward County has been that they don't see her. Like she disappears, she's not there. I don't know if that's been brought out in the
it has. They say like, she's out the door at 4 o'clock or something like that. All of what I'm saying, like you can go and look up a video and you'll see this too. So I'm not talking bad about her, but I know one of the biggest criticisms that I've
heard much earlier than 4 o'clock. So I've heard it.
Like you can.
I've heard of 12 p.m. finds Judge Henning in the courtroom. That's a good day.
Okay, listen, I don't know. I just know that's one of the things. They're like, no, she be gone. And she doesn't do a lot of trials. And she says she doesn't do them because it's specialized unit. And I think that might be one of the times where, 40 years is a long time. She's been a judge since like the 80s. So I don't know. I don't know. Is it time for someone new?
Time to go. Give somebody else a chance. Lord have mercy.
Go retire. Don't you got some grandkids or something? I mean, like, God forgive me. I shouldn't do that. Everybody don't have to have grandkids. I don't know. But yeah, so this is definitely an interesting race. So like we said, and she's also a member of Gator Nation, right? So she got a law degree from UF in like 1976. I was older than Jara, okay? And I was only 6 years old that year. So that just goes to show, how, yeah. So she was there since 1976. She's been a member of the Florida Bar for almost 44 years. She's also a member of the DC Bar for like 41 years, and she's been a judge in Broward County since 1985. She's on the circuit court actually before that. So she's been on the circuit court since 1985, but she was on the county court in 1981. So she's been a judge in Broward County since 1981. And then she was assistant state attorney in the appellate division before that. And then she worked for the AG's office for a couple years, I guess right when she got out of law school. So she says her litigation experience is 15% civil and 85% criminal. So in terms of judicial experience, she's been doing it for a very long time. She talks about temperament and her community service is that she's a member of the Florida Bar, the DC Bar, Broward County Bar, Florida Conference of Circuit Court Judges. She's part of Temple called Ami Emmanuel, I guess that's religious, Temple Menorah Benai Birth Justice Unit. She's one of the founding members and she's part of her homeowners association. That's her community engagement. What else you got to add, Jaro?
Nothing more on Judge Henning.
Oh, but she has, okay, so she has an award. So let's see what her award was. So she was a 2018 Judge of the Year for the Fort Lauderdale chapter of the American Board of Trial Advocates, ABOTA. Okay. So now we have Kirsten Weisberg Padowitz.
Right.
So she is, she's graduated from Nova, 1999, been a member of the Florida Bar for 21 years, been a member of Broward Bar for 4 years. She was a state attorney. She was in the state attorney's office. She worked
also a public defender, very interestingly. She's maybe the only one I know, and any one of these, the only candidate I know has been both a public defender and a prosecutor here in Broward County.
Yes. So she was a public defender first, and then she went into the state attorney's office where she stayed the longest. Like, what do you think about that? I'm always a little bit like, now, why you did that, right? You were like a PD, and then you gonna be a state attorney. Like, why are you doing that? Okay, you don't got to comment. Okay, all right. So you gonna say that? Because sometimes I'm like, So I'm gonna just say something. There's a lady that's running for state attorney, right? And she used to do probation. She was a probation officer, and then she went and became a state attorney. Went to law school to become a prosecutor. I want her to tell me why, because to me, some of those transitions are very interesting. I want to know, like, what was going on that made you make that particular transition. So I want some understanding. I need some understanding. I need some clarification. I don't think I'm gonna ever get it, but I would love for them to explain that.
The funny thing is that I usually see people go from the state attorney's office to become public defenders. I think this is maybe the first time that I've seen someone go from the public defender's office to become a prosecutor. So
and stayed there for a long time.
Yeah.
She stayed there for a very long time. I think she was there for a long time, like 16, 17 years in the state attorney's office. And then she went to work for Kenneth Padowitz. I don't know if that's a family member or a spouse.
Yeah, that's her husband. Her husband was also a prosecutor at the Broward County Prosecutor's Office. And he's now in private practice doing private defense, so she worked with him.
Okay, so I see that. All right, yeah, and then she started her own practice too, doing more appellate work or something like that. And so her experience is 85% civil and 15% criminal. Even though she was a public defender for a long time. So, a state attorney and a public defender, but she did criminal work for most of her experience as an attorney. So in community engagement, says she's part of the Florida Bar Grievance Committee. She was a member of the T.J. Riddick Bar Association, Broward Women's Alliance, Federal Bar, Western Bar. She's part of the United States District, Southern District, Broward County Bar, Benign Birth Justice Unit, state attorney. I think she did some work with the state attorney's Broward County Sealing Expungement Program, League of Women Voters, those type of things, right? So who you got in this one? that bunch. I don't know. Who you got?
So I chose Kristen Padowitz, and the reason I chose her was because I've had experience with her before, and when she was a prosecutor at the Broward State Attorney's Office, and the experience, mostly when I have experience with Broward County Prosecutor's Office, I would say that 80% of that experience is an unpleasant experience.
Mm-hmm.
The 20%, so she was part of the 20% where it was not an unpleasant experience. I'm not gonna say that 20% was a pleasant experience by no stretch. Maybe about 10% is pleasant, but at least 20% is not unpleasant, in other words.
Okay.
So I don't have any experience at all with Judge Henning. I don't know anything about her other than what goes around the scuttlebucket in Broward County from the Broward County lawyers. So all I know is about her alleged
unavailability.
Leaving the courthouse early and all that. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, you've been there 40 years. Maybe you're just tired of the job. You want to leave, you want to get out of here, you want to feed your cats or something. I don't know. But maybe it's time for some new blood. So that's definitely,
I don't know, but yeah, I heard. I mean, you heard earlier. I heard like she be gone, like see ya, you know. And you know, when you get a certain age, you are allowed to do that, but you shouldn't be able to do that at the expense of people that have cases in court that they want to have get resolved, right? So, you know, so Padowitz is it? She's feisty. She's very interested in every time they're about to do their presentation, I'm like, oh Lord, there it goes, and it's very different personality. So it's interesting to watch. It's definitely interesting to watch. I enjoy it, and every time I see there's going to be a judicial panel, I'm like, yep, where's my popcorn? Because it was about to get started. Okay.